Welcome.
Hello there, brother Buffalo, brother John. How the heck are you?
I am good. How are you?
Well, I'm recovering from yesterday's first preseason game.
Yeah, that was a horror story.
It wasn't exactly the start that I would have liked to see for the Bills, but we'll get into that, right?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Yesterday they played the Chicago Bears in a preseason game at home.
Yes, they did.
And I thought they had a pretty decent attendance. I don't know what the number was, but just
hmm
looking at it, it looked like a number of people showed up. It was a nice day for it.
Yeah, it wasn't a sold out crowd, but it was pretty full,
Yeah,
and it looked like a good day for watching football. That's for
yeah.
sure.
NFL Network carried the game for us. Now we're over here in Claremont, Florida. So we don't get like the local pregame shows and stuff.
No,
But we did get to see the
we got
game,
to
and
see
that
the
was
game.
fantastic.
That's what matters.
All right, George, what are your thoughts?
Well, you look at this is the first preseason game. So you got to ask yourself, what were the Bills trying to accomplish? Well, the first thing I think they were trying to accomplish was to see how the offensive was going to gel with their new receiving core out there coming from their ace quarterback, Josh Allen. So they started and they played the first quarter, and the offensive line was out there. And I'll be honest with you, I thought that with the first string out there against a really good Chicago Bear defense. I think that the passing game, I think they did a pretty decent job. To be honest with you, the offensive line. Josh Allen, he made two or three passes. Shakir was his favorite receiver. He never did throw to or even look for Coleman. So I don't think he was in the game plan, which kind of baffles me unless he really couldn't get open. But it didn't look to me like Josh was even looking towards him. It, I felt like he was looking for his new maybe his new number one in Shakir, and I think the Bills were keeping their game face, the actual season game face, kind of hidden. They really didn't use the tight ends. They handed off a few times and went to Shakir a few times, and Curtis Samuel. They did a nice screen from him, and overall, I think they did okay.
Okay.
And on the Chicago Bears, and I know we're not the Chicago Bear fan, but let's face it, on their offensive side, they got a new exciting young quarterback in Caleb Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and they got a Roma Dunze,
Mm-hmm.
one of the top wide receivers in the draft, and
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, and but quite frankly, they ran the ball against the Bills quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had more struggles on the defensive side of the ball than we did on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm talking the first quarter with the first string in there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I would say I think you're right with the defense. The only thing I would throw at you there is with Daquan Jones not playing at all, and with
Mm-hmm.
Oliver just playing the one snap, that's who they depend on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't have any. We have yet to see them have quality backup behind them for years.
You're
For
right.
years,
You're right.
really.
You're right. You're
So
you're you're saying the two defensive tackles really weren't
they really weren't playing.
weren't playing.
Yeah.
Oliver was supposed to. He had a little twinge there, a potential,
Hopefully it's nothing, but
yeah, potential injury after the first snap, and the team said, "No, not worth it. Get out of there." And they put in their new draft pick,
yeah,
Dwayne Carter, and I thought he did okay,
sure.
but they were not able to shut down the run against the Bears, and those Bears running backs, I mean, they were powerful and stout.
They look good, didn't
They were dragging people with them.
they? Yeah.
So I think we got some checking out to do on that defensive line. If you're telling me that without Daquan Jones and without Oliver in there, and we know how much they rotate the line, we're always going to have somebody else out there, and maybe our depth isn't good enough yet. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, like that was the dirty little secret that they don't talk about when
Dirty little secret. I like that. That's
well
good.
when they talk about we're going to rotate.
Mm-hmm.
You're still then the more plays that the worst guy gets,
Yeah.
that's how good you are.
That's how good you are.
That's
Yes.
that's the part.
You're always rotating into not the best
not your
team,
best,
not the
not
best
your best
players.
deployment.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you end up with always a weaker deployment, and
Yes.
that becomes who you are.
It's going to tell the other offense where to attack the lines.
Yeah, like when you, yeah, that's right. Like you just
Hmm.
that becomes who you are, and not because the other guys either you don't play them enough
Hmm.
to make a difference. Okay.
And I did think on the in the backfield of the defense, we saw Kyer Elam out there. He made some good tackles. He made one behind the line. We're running back. I mean,
Mhm.
I thought he played well. Um, what's our oh geez, well, it's so hard getting old, you guys. Our cornerback, Rasul Douglas.
Oh, I mean, this will play, didn't he?
There was a couple of catches against him, but he was right on the receiver. And sometimes those catches go either way, but he's in the game, and I thought he looked pretty good.
Okay. All right.
And we'll see. I think we still have some issues at safety because of the uh, injuries, but I thought Damar Hamlin did okay.
Okay. Yeah, I said here it's a little different. Like
Hmm.
I think we have issues at safety because of the players. Like
Hmm.
if Edwards were playing, I don't think he would be any better.
Okay.
He's a
All right.
career backup, which is exactly what
Well,
Hamlin is.
I
I
was
think
counting on Cole Bishop, but he's injured, and we just don't know. We just don't know.
I don't. There's nothing wrong with that. Like
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with, okay, it's a second round draft pick. Nothing wrong with him coming in. Expectation of him coming in and playing. It's just a weird. This team tends not to make use of rookies all that much. I mean,
Yeah.
we did see the guard Torrance, but
Hmm.
um, the Bernard looked like a fish out of water until his second year. Then it all seemed to click
Yes,
for him.
that's true. That's
Now
true.
we're hoping something
Mhm.
similar happens with
Yeah.
Dorian Williams, and that could be an indication that's Cole's going to need a year. I don't know. I guess it's a complicated defense.
The Bills in the first quarter, they could not punch in a touchdown. They squeaked out a field goal, I think,
Hmm.
but they found themselves behind. I don't remember the first quarter score, but I do know they were down 13-6.
At some point,
For
yeah,
a while, they
pretty
were down
first quarter.
10-3, 13-6. So they definitely were not out of the game by any means. Uh, but then we made a change and started bringing in other players, which is what you want the preseason is to see who who is going to develop,
Yeah,
who could you start, who are you going to keep on the team, and so on and so forth. And we got a good feel for what Mitch Trubisky is.
yeah. I think
His second
if we
stint
didn't
for the
know,
Bills,
if we didn't know, we got better than Kyle Allen, but definitely a backup.
better than Kyle Allen, and to me, no better than a third stringer. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Yeah, he made a few passes and made guys were open, but he made three passes that I saw that guys were wide open,
Yeah.
and he threw the ball so far away from the wide receiver that
The
nobody could
He
possibly
was the
catch
original draft pick of Chicago Bears,
it. Mm.
and nobody that's a fan of that organization is yearning for the days when Mitch Trubisky was their starter.
Now, the good thing we saw
No one.
on the offensive line, whether it was the starters or the backups, no sacks.
Okay.
So
You
that's
know
a
what?
good thing.
That is a thing.
That is a good thing.
That's a thing.
But it didn't matter who was playing on our offensive line, starters or backups, they could not move the ball on the ground.
Nope.
It didn't matter if they had Cook out there or Ray Davis out there. Ray Davis got a couple of runs,
Or Gore.
yeah, but he got a couple of short runs, 5-6 yards, but most of them were like either behind the line of scrimmage or 0 to 1 yard. It just was the offensive line could not move the Bears' defensive line at any level, and that was disappointing.
Hmm. I agree.
Because
That was one.
with our receiving core, we really need to have a ground game that we can count on. We're not going to be a run team, a run first team, but you certainly want to keep the defense thinking you could possibly run and that's going to help this core of receivers that we got to maybe take some pressure off them, keep guys up in the box a little bit. But we couldn't move the ball at all on the ground.
Mm-mm.
So that was very disappointing to me.
Allen's run. When the quarterback would run, you had they got a few yards.
Yeah, right. The best run of the game for the Bills was Josh Allen.
Josh Allen getting
get a first down.
Yeah.
And right after that, they pulled him because, like, who wants to see him running in a preseason game? I mean, come on, Josh. At least use the preseason for passing. Even if you get an interception, let's see if there's any magic out there. Let's check out our receivers. Don't worry about running for a first down in a preseason game. That's just crazy.
Well, I don't disagree with your sentiment. The one thing I will say is, having watched several years worth of Bills games with you, if he throws an interception, you're going to be all about that interception and not, well, I'm glad he didn't run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's a regular season game. I'm talking preseason.
I'm saying even in the preseason, you would have been, it's just got cabbage head all over again. You would not have been. Thank God he didn't run there.
But if he would have got hurt, I would have been that crazy mother, you know who.
Well, here's the thing. Two passes, he completed 2 for 3 passes.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make use of him long enough for him to do any good out there.
Mm-hmm.
For him to see anything for him out there. For them to be able to say, we used our starters so we could evaluate our wide receivers. He wasn't out there long enough.
He wasn't really doing anything. He threw it twice, 2 receptions to
there was
Shakir or something.
There was no reason for him to be out there.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just, if you feel that you need the starting offensive line to go out there, if you feel that you have to have your starting quarterback there, that's because you're a weak coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That you're a weak coach. I can't go up to my starting offensive line and say, you guys need to work, you got to play, but we're going to still let the quarterback sit because he doesn't need to work. If you can't say that, you're a weak coach.
I'll tell you what.
And I think we might have a weak coach.
And I think you may have a weak general manager. And let me tell you why. If you got a backup quarterback that can't get the ball to a wide open wide receiver so that your top quarterback can sit on the bench and stay safe, you need your backup to be able to complete passes. And then they could evaluate their wide receivers.
I can't evaluate my wide receivers.
I can't evaluate them I can't evaluate the wide receiver core with my backup quarterback because he stinks.
Yeah,
he just plain stinks.
The one positive I had for him, he was better than Kyle Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one positive I thought. I was like, okay, I think he is better than Kyle Allen.
And our third stringer, Buscelli, I think he's probably a great practice squad guy. He can just throw the ball around, but he has no business being in a football game.
I'm not
okay.
So do you want to do grades?
Well, one last before we do the grade.
Yeah, sure.
Let's touch on special teams.
Okie dokie.
We kicked 2 field goals. Bass made them. Nothing looked bad.
That would be the good.
I saw a decent snap. I saw no problem with the holder. No problem with the holder. And you put him right through the uprights.
Right.
So, all right.
You did what you were supposed to do.
Our kicker did but then on kickoffs, he couldn't seem to figure out that you got to put it between like the 1 and the 20-yard line. And he put it in the end zone, which means it brings it out to the 35.
The 30. There's no 35.
Oh, 30. Come on, man. Who's that guy always says that? Come on, man. Our kicker can't kick the ball short of the goal line.
Well, we saw that in that 13-second game. He still can't. Right? The whole thing was a communication error. He kicked the ball into the end zone. They fair catched it. They don't have to run it. They don't have to fair catch it inside the 5. Mm-hmm. They also don't have to do anything because they kicked it. So they just get it at the 20 and no time goes off the clock. That was ridiculous. And the inability, he still has difficulty with that. And 4 years later, Kel still has difficulty with it.
When you speak of the special teams, on the other side of the ball, or the other side, you got another kicker. It's called the punter. And the punter
got a bad
punt. Here's a guy, they're paying him like $3 million, Martin. They had somebody in camp, which is the second coming of the punt god, who also went to San Diego State, uh, Jake Browning, and they let him go early so he could go find a job somewhere else. And he was doing really well punting from what I heard. And we got rid of him because probably we're already paying Martin. We paid him and we got to use him. And the guy stinks. And I kept asking myself, why doesn't the punter, and we've talked about this for a couple months now, that maybe on kickoffs, you're going to see the punter punt the ball, because I think that it's easier for a punter to place it into that box.
I don't. What experience do you have that tells you it's easier for a punter to do a kickoff and have it landing than it is for an actual kicker who
because
for a living?
they're trying to keep it from going into the end zone when they're, if they're punting from their own 40-yard line, they don't want the ball to go in the end zone. They want somebody to have to fair catch it. You know what I mean? They're trying to keep it short of the goal line.
I hear what
And
you
I
mean.
see that, to me, that's why
I'm not.
thinking
You
the
have
punter.
not. It doesn't make any sense, but I hear what you mean.
No, the punter's job, in many cases, is to keep the ball from going in, punting it, but not going into the end zone.
Trying to get the coffin corner.
Trying to get the
yeah, no, I get
And
that.
so I'm thinking the punter should be experienced in trying to direct the ball where to go. That was in my head. But this punter, he hasn't got a clue.
He had one go off the side, apparently offside his foot, and then one. Chris Brown is talking about it was the wind.
It was the
It
wind.
got caught in the wind in a nice sunny day in Buffalo. You got wind. Wind.
If the wind's a problem for our punter in August, what do you think is going to happen in November? December?
Oh, it's going to be it's going to be. And then just to make it even worse, they fair caught a ball that it went into the landing zone. It was on the 5, and the guy fair catches it.
Which
It's like he doesn't know the rules.
he doesn't get it back out on the 25 or the 20 anymore. He gets it where he fair caught it, just like a punt.
I don't. I the
They weren't
special
prepared for the
teams
special team.
were so bad
They weren't prepared.
that it really does seem that they put guys out there who didn't know the rules.
Now,
Is it possible that the kicker didn't know the significance of kicking it out of the end zone into the end zone? Is that possible? And I would say no. How could it be? But they got a guy for catching the ball on a kickoff.
now on the special
So
teams,
maybe he doesn't. Maybe they don't know.
you also got the guys that line up that are going to tackle the receiving kickoff returner. And honestly, I thought that part of the special teams did well. Like I thought there were no issues with the field goal kicking. I thought that part was okay.
It's like saying the water boys made sure the water was wet.
Well, yeah, okay. The water boy made sure the water was wet. But my
you were just grasping to find something positive.
No, it's a case where we know we got a problem with both kickers. Okay, we know we got problems with both kickers, but they don't have to revamp the entire special teams. You just got to find the kickers. They don't they don't have a problem with the coaching staff on special teams, and you don't have a problem with the other 10 players. Although the one time we saw with the wind and the Bills guy had to come out with the tee for the kickoff. And then as soon as the guy kicks it, he's supposed to pick up the tee and run off. Well, I don't know if you noticed it, but he kind of just jogged off.
And got yelled at.
Well, he has to be off the field before the kick returner catches the ball. And 3 yards from the sidelines, they were yelling at him, "Get off the!"
So he starts running then.
So he was running then because he almost didn't make it.
Another special teamer. Now this is the punter who doesn't know the rules, who doesn't know what his responsibilities are.
I'm telling you, the two of them. I don't know what they're smoking.
After the game, McDermott had a press conference, and he looked like he was almost in tears. And I guess nobody had the heart to ask him, "Are you going to fire your special teams coordinator?" Because you did after the 13-second game. And this game, you saw that again multiple times. and you had a punter who doesn't know the rule to get off the field, and you got a guy fair catching a kickoff, is it time to release the special teams coordinator and get somebody who knows the job?
I got to
Like,
tell you,
that's what you did last time.
and I think you
Or do you only do that during playoff games?
very, very good points. And I think you brought it up earlier when you talked about the head coach being McDermott. He's no longer our defensive coordinator. We got one. And which means McDermott was able to do what he's supposed to do, and that's be a head coach and oversee the whole thing. Well, somehow he forgot to oversee the special teams. So you're right, but it may be deeper than just a special teams coach. It might be deeper. It might be the whole attitude of special teams on that football team and how
There's a real
it's
problem there.
and
Yeah.
how it's
Coach,
used
whatever, yeah.
with between Bean getting the players, McDermott overseeing the coaching, the coach, this terrible play by the kickers. So that whole thing could be a problem. So yeah, thank you for letting me go off on the special teams because I thought that was the worst part of the entire Bills showing yesterday.
It was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing.
Do you want to give a grade?
Sure.
Offensive grade?
Offensive grade. I gotta give them D minus.
Okay.
And it could have been worse. It could have been a D, but I thought when Josh Allen and the regular offensive line was out there, he was able to find open receivers. He was able to run for first down. They were able to move the ball, not on the ground. That's why they're being downgraded all the way to a C minus because they could not find a way to run the ball. But on a passing game, I thought they looked okay.
Okay.
And on the when you brought Trubisky in, he did have wide receivers getting wide open. They were running the routes. They were getting this open spots. They were available. He just couldn't hit them. So on the offense, we know Trubisky is not going to be out there most of the time. God forbid. That we know that the offensive players are okay. We just got to figure out that run game.
Okay, so
my offense is a C minus.
Apparently, you and I watched a different game. Look, Josh Allen ran for 1 first down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to give him an F.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a solid D.
Okay.
It's not a D minus or minus plus. It's a D. It's about as close. It's technically as passing, but they should definitely do it again. They should take the class over again because there's shit they missed. They run the offensive line, the starting offensive line, not only couldn't run, but on passing plays, they often let guys in. And then we saw with our own eyes bad snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Bad snaps. Allen dropping down to grab a snap, getting up, and then there's a defender in his face because they also couldn't block. Like he ran for first down. He threw a nice ball. It wasn't a great pass per se. The ball to Shakir, that was a nice. Actually, I give more credit after having watched the replay. I rewatched the game. I give a little bit more credit to Shakir.
He's looking good. He's looking good.
Well,
so far.
I hear you.
And we're hearing
like last year he got 600 yards. That could still be his ceiling.
Yeah.
So we don't know. But that was a nice. And then the offensive line did a good job on the screen to Curtis Martin. Mm-hmm. And Allen ran for 8 yards. So I'm giving them a D.
You mean Curtis Samuel?
Yeah, Curtis Samuel. He got it.
Okay.
They did a good job on
D. I gave him a C minus. I thought we're pretty close there.
We're pretty close.
It's only half a grade.
What was your description? About how things were working. Very little work.
Because I thought that the wide receivers were getting open when Trubisky was the quarterback, but since he can't hit them, it made the offense look bad. And if Josh Allen was out there, he would have hit him, and we would have had a lot more yardage.
Okay, so when Trubisky's there, he did have some overthrows.
Yes,
but he had
bad.
But the wide receivers were dropping passes, dropping first downs, dropping passes.
We saw a couple of
There was nothing to lead me to believe that these guys belong, that they should have a jersey.
But the ones that were dropping it, we knew about them anyway. It was MVS, Scanlon, he dropped a pass. Shavers, he dropped a pass, but
Hamlin. KJ Hamlin.
Hamler.
Hamler, he dropped a pass.
So guys that are not going to be on our starting team anyway.
Then we don't have enough receivers. Like you dress five. If a couple of those guys can't make it, you don't have five.
I think
You got Shakir,
yeah,
and then the guy Samuels.
Coleman.
Okay, the rookie.
That's three. You got Hollins, which didn't dress. They're going to use him because he's a blocker.
That's four.
And then you got one more, which is hold on, no, hold on. Let me think.
I can feel the heat. I can feel the heat. I smell the smoke.
Okay, so it'll come to me, but it's not one of those guys. I thought MVS was going to be the guy, but we know his history, and I still do think it's going to be him. But the history is he makes some incredible plays at opportune times, and he's a Gabe Davis. He makes some shit plays when you least expect it,
and disappears.
Games
without any catches.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're a half a step apart from the offense.
They don't have so many wide receivers that are good that they're trying to figure out who makes the team and who goes on the practice squad. They're just trying to find five to give jerseys to. Mm-hmm. That's what I think they are. And I don't think it's just the wide receiver room at this point.
Well,
I think it's a 53-man roster. I think they got 40 guys, and after that, they're going to be handing these jerseys out like candy.
New England dropped Juju Smith-Schuster. Don't be surprised.
Which only goes to my point. They're signing guys who are the bottom of the barrel of the wide.
You see, there was an injury on a wide receiver for Kansas City. Guy that just got this year, and now that Juju Smith.
Really?
No, not their rookie. Hollywood Brown.
Oh, okay.
So don't be surprised if Kansas City doesn't grab Juju Smith-Schuster since he knows their offense. I wouldn't be surprised. And I know you're saying he's not a good player, and he's probably not. But right now, if you're looking for a sixth receiver, you ain't got it. He might be the guy.
Well, George, since you brought that scenario up,
yeah,
I would be surprised if they go and bring him back, because unlike the Bills, they got more guys than they know, and then they let him go because they knew he wasn't going to make a team.
All right.
So like if one injury, like they said, okay, we got an injury, we got somebody else on the team already before we got to go and pick up the scum of the garbage can.
All right, so
wide receiver core.
We're saying a C- and a D for the offense.
What about the defense?
The defense, John, I gotta tell you, I gotta give them a D.
Isn't that interesting?
I give them a D because they couldn't stop the run. They didn't get enough pressure. And I think because they couldn't get enough pressure on the quarterback, that's what really showed issues at the safety. The safety shouldn't be trying to cover guys that long because the defensive line can't get any pressure. And you saw they didn't even bother to use Von Miller, probably because they don't want to risk an injury. But it was pathetic against the run, and I was disappointed in them. And if you can't stop the run, yes, you want pressure and sacks, but if your defensive line cannot stop the run with support of your linebackers, you're in trouble. And to me, that's what I thought I saw. A troubling spot on the defensive line, and which exposed other issues. Now, I thought we looked fine at cornerback. I really did. But I thought then it showed that we had some issues still on safety. But the most of the problems were coming from the defensive line.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree with it. I actually did give them a C.
Oh, okay.
I think the thing that kind of made a difference for me was that they have a scheme that they don't do a good job of stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
They depend on a nickel back to help. And Terod Johnson, they paid him because he's good.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you get past that, like for Cam Lewis and the other guy they drafted, I mean, they were struggling with that. But that's a scheme. It's a choice that they don't go with three linebackers. They do it to always run with the nickel back. That's a choice, and it sets them out to lose against the run to begin with. The only year they looked good against the run was when Daquan Jones he had the 4 games of his life,
Mm-hmm.
and then they didn't look good against the run again.
I gotta tell you, for me, the
Um,
D, it went to the D. It gave up 33 points.
okay, well
You know.
let me keep going.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
On the first drive, they gave up that big play. It was a screen pass,
Mm-hmm. Yes, it
and
was.
which was I'm not sure somebody is going to get yelled at because they just forgot about their assignment and they let the guy go free. Um, but they did stop him from getting in the end zone. I mean, they had a nice stop inside the 10. They stopped them. And that is predominantly why I'm giving them a C in that they've, for a number of years, they were a bend but don't break kind of team.
Mm-hmm.
And the first string kind of bent but didn't break.
Okay.
So that's kind of them.
All right.
It's not.
And I looked at
It's different. Yeah, it's the same stuff. It's just
I looked at it as they gave up 33 points.
yeah.
Even if it's a second or third stringers, they're going against second or third stringers. And I didn't see any hunger out there.
No, okay, no.
I did not see any fire coming from the team. And if it's Babbage or that didn't produce it, or if it was McDermott who didn't go out there and get them fired up, it's like nobody really cared about it's a preseason game. We don't care.
You know,
And that's what
interesting
I felt.
because you're not wrong, of course. But I held it more against our offense in the third and fourth quarters
Okay.
for the same way.
Mhm.
Like I'm looking at these wide receivers going, there's a jersey for you.
Mhm.
Minimum game day salary is close to 200,000.
Mhm.
It's right there for you. But when the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. Like that bothered me, I think, as much as the defensive stuff bothered you. So that might be part of there was no hunger in the third and fourth quarter. They were, they looked like our backups were considerably worse than Chicago's backups.
Mhm.
Chicago's backups looked like they were energetic and ready to go and at least knew what the hell the
They
play
were
was.
excited when they made a play. They had
Yeah.
energy. They were supporting each other out there.
Interestingly,
Mhm.
I criticize the offense more for that than the defense, and but we're still in the same spot.
Yeah.
Okay, George, I hate to ask, what grade to give the special?
Well, it's a special letter.
Yeah,
It's an F.
yeah, it's got to be. I'm afraid
I
it was
did
truly.
I did
It was.
say that
I said it was embarrassing.
I did say there were guys on the line that go and try and tackle the kick returner, and that I thought they played pretty well. But anybody could have played that. And I don't mean anybody like me. I mean anybody on the football team could have done that. So I don't give them any special credit because the other 10 players were trying to make a tackle. But the coaching, the head coaching, the kickers, it was embarrassing. And it's a problem we already had. It was a problem we already had, and it's now even worse, and nobody seemed to care. And it's like that is what's embarrassing, and things have to get better, or things have to change. It's ridiculous. And I thought right now the Buffalo Bills special teams are indicative of who they are.
Okay, yeah, wow, I don't think you're wrong. That is exactly what this team is.
Now,
That's right.
what do you think they should be graded?
Enough. Yeah, it's might be enough.
Because that's the lowest grade we can give.
Yeah, well, it's worthy. They earned it. You don't, you know, if you got you're going to kick for a field goal
Mm-hmm.
and the line blocks everybody, nobody gets through. you don't get an A for that. But if they can't block anybody and everybody gets through, they fail. Right. So, but the thing when you grade special teams, you're really not grading the blockers, the tacklers, unless something goes bad. You're grading the kickers. And they fumble. Like they just failed today.
Mhm.
Or yesterday. They just failed.
There was a failure.
Martin not running off the kick, not running off the field after
Kind of
the
laughed about it
kickoff.
after he got off too. He thought
It's
it was
really
funny.
indicative that, like, I get when you're running, you want to see the play, so you're watching downfield. The
Mhm.
kick happens, and then you run, and you're going to watch that. I get that, but he was walking and just enjoying the game. He had the best. They had the best field, the best view in the house for a few seconds. And the coach is like, "Get off the field, come on!" And then he goes like, "Oh, I'm running." Um, it it was just errors, not a comedy of errors, just errors,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
errors.
Now, you want to talk about what we want to see in the future or where you think the team is heading? I mean, I'm like, well, let's talk about what we think we might see
Sure.
or we'd like to see
Yeah, sure.
in the next game. I want to see improvements. I want to see more fire from the team. I want to see some energy, a team that wants to win. Yes, it's like no, it's not important if they win or not, but it is important if the players that are trying to make this team are excited and they're excited for their opportunity and they want to show themselves, even if they're not going to make our team, they might make another team. Get out there and play hard. Get those coaches out there instead of seeing McDermott walking around with a sour puss on his face on the sideline. Get him prepared beforehand. I don't want to see Josh Allen back out there. That's for darn sure. And so I'm not sure we're going to see much improvement in the passing game because I don't think Trubisky can hit anybody. So let's work on the run game. Let's work on our scheme blocking, and let's get some stuff moving. Let's work on screen passes. Let's work on draw plays. Let's work on pull your tackle or pull your guard. Let's get some runs going. That's what I want to see. And on the defensive side of the ball, we got to find a way to get some pressure. And we have to find a way to get our guys, if we're only going to keep 6 guys in the box, they have to stop the run. And the special teams, I think it's a lost cause.
Okay. Well, this next week, the next game is Pittsburgh, and they have the joint practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm, I don't know if any of the Bills reporters who've been doing their training camp will go for those, will be there for those training camps. It'd be very interesting to see if I watched Pittsburgh, it's the first half of the Pittsburgh game.
Mm-hmm.
If something doesn't change, the Bills defensive line and offensive line are just going to get bullied, just bullied.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the coaches can't motivate them, that kind of challenge might pick them up a little bit, maybe kind of almost teach them where they have to be from an energy standpoint so that they just match their energy.
Let's see a
of the
guy
other
like
team.
Dawkins go out there and get his line motivated to move that defensive line and create space for a running back.
So I also think that you're going to see Josh Allen play. He's going
You
to
do?
play.
Okay.
In fact, the offense is so poor, he has to play. It's not an issue of getting him hurt or not hurt. This track that they're on now puts them at the game against the Cardinals woefully underprepared.
Mm.
So he has to play because they've got to find, he's got to get rapport with some players, and they've got to find guys that they could even just give jerseys to. So I think he has to play, and I think he might play a half.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. That's an interesting because I think you're right that without him at the helm, we're not going to see anything coming out of that passing game.
Yeah.
I do want to see some strength on the run game. Even if Pittsburgh knows it's coming, let's just get in the trenches and go head to head and let's move that football. I do have confidence that the Bills in the future, we'll get into the regular season with Josh Allen out, they're going to move the ball. I believe that he's good enough, and we're going to see him move it. They're going to see the team moving the ball. But yeah, I hate to see him risk the injury just in preseason. But you're right.
They won't be prepared. Like on game one, they're just going to be woefully overmatched, and
Mhm.
that's when they're going to start using the getting ready. They're
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
they're so far behind, below, not even behind, just below what an NFL team should be at.
Mhm.
So the next thing that I would say is, um, they they need to put a little. I don't think there'll be time to put um, a plan, like a game plan together, because during the week you game plan the practice with the opposing team, like what you're going to work on.
Right.
So I don't think that there'll be enough individual time for you to prepare for Pittsburgh. But as far as like, we kind of need to see what the hell their offense is going to be. The idea that their offense is going to be um, based on their running backs and moving the ball from side to side. And that's exactly the offense that took them through 17 years of missing the playoffs,
Yeah, that's true.
which is exactly where I said I projected 9 wins.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Right. And in fact, it may not even be nine, maybe 7 wins.
Yeah.
That's how many years did they have 7 wins? So um, I think they have to show more. And you had mentioned during the game, it's vanilla. They're not going to show their stuff, and we didn't see them really try to get the ball to Kincaid.
Right. Exactly.
I think they better show a little stuff.
Mhm.
You need to put some success together, just some success together. Get a drive going, something, and that might involve having to have your best players out there.
Right. Okay.
So
All right. All right.
and that's just
I hear you.
you can't
It's not far fetched at all.
you can't. Oh, and the other thing I was like, look, Trubisky had some overthrows, but he hit plenty of receivers that just some caught him, some they was dropped. So it, I don't know that you need Allen out there for, what the heck is their wide receiver that we hadn't heard of was on a practice squad last year, that
Shaver?
Shavers. I don't know that he has to be the one throwing him the ball, but doggone it, when the ball gets thrown to him, if it's over his head, it's over his head. He's going to deal with it. But when it's to him, he's got to catch it,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's just on him.
What about the defense?
Daquan's got to play. If Milano's ready, he's got to play.
You think Oliver's going back in?
Well,
They took him out after one play. Do you think he's going back in?
I I think without him, they just get run over
Mhm.
because Pittsburgh can run the ball. They still have the running back the last couple of years. I mean, they will run over him. So without him and Daquan, I think they get run over.
Does Von Miller play, or do they say we already know that he's not good enough, or that we're so afraid of him
Well,
getting injured?
I guess the answer to my question is what I don't have the answer to that, because we've heard reports that Von Miller is going to be more of a
Special
specialty type player.
player, right?
When it's
Third
an
and long, or so.
obvious
Yeah,
passing
down.
down, that's when he would come in. If that's the case, then no, he doesn't have to play. If he's really going to be down to 25 to 30 snaps and it's just passing downs, then no. If you are going to play him more than that, and he's going to be out there even on some running downs, and he's going to be an integral part of the rotation, then yeah, he's going to play.
I got a question for you, and this is not questioning your set. I think you're right on everything. If if Von Miller is a special guy, he's going to go on passing downs only. If he can't sack anybody anymore, why are you going to use him as a sack specialist? And he can't do it. We saw him last year; he couldn't do it. We're not hearing in camp that he's doing it.
Look, when it's your birthday, you get a cake.
Yes.
Even a 90-year-old person, a 100-year-old person, it's a cake. everybody knows they're either wishing for one more year or to be taken out of the misery. One or the other. They're hoping for one more year. He's like the 90-year-old lady with her little walker coming out, and they gave her a cake, and she's hoping for one more year. He said it. He wants to pass up a couple of guys on the all-time sack leader board, and that's why he's still playing. And that's fine, because if he can, the team can use it. But if that's what he is, then sacks is what he's got to do. Like that's
Well, here's two grades to give me, and it's on the same ish thing. Where do you think? Where do you think now we're going to see the Bills grade out in the next game? And where do you want the Bills to be able to grade out in the next game?
I want him to be an A.
Okay, you want them to be an A.
I want him to be an A.
I mean, I'm looking for an increase, and I'm like, I'd like to see him be a B. I want to see improvement. Okay, you want him to be an A? Okay, great.
Your willingness to accept mediocrity surprises me.
Well,
Why would you say that? Like, oh, I hope they could achieve a B. That's absurd.
because they're a D, and I want to see the improvement. It's just a second preseason game. This is now we're not in the middle of the season here. It's just a second preseason game. I want to see a B effort, and I think we're gonna see a C effort. I think we're gonna see some improvement, but not much.
Every year in the off season, you tell me about how this year they're going to run more screens.
Yes.
You have these dream hopes.
Yeah.
Look,
Screens.
look, it is
Love the screen pass.
It is possible. A team can go out and things just snowball and against you, and you can't. And it looks like you're the worst team in the world. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe it isn't our overall lack of talent that causes this. But and if so, they're going to snap back and play really well in this game. Or they are what they look like they are.
Okay. Let's hope they're not what they looked like.
They were yeah, a duck can't be a tiger.
Yeah.
But a tiger can decide he's too tired to get up and be a tiger today. So, but next week, you expect the tiger to be a tiger again.
Whatever kind of bird laid an egg, that's what we're going to see improvement this week against Pittsburgh. I really do believe that. How much we're going to see, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see an A. I'd like to see a B. I realistically think we're going to see a C. You want them to go all out and get that A. Okay, that's fine. I think that's great. I mean, but where do you think they're going to be? I think they're going to be another D.
I don't think they have what it takes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I want to see an A. Yeah.
All right.
They either are talented or they're not. If you're not talented, then you can't. If you're a duck and you go on a football field, you get run over. And I think they got a bunch of ducks.
Well, it is the first preseason game. I don't want to panic yet. Oh, that sounds like a Buffalo Plus one. We didn't watch it yet.
Let's face it. The offensive coach, the coaches panicked when they decided to start the starters. That's them panicking. That is them trying to say, we don't know what the hell we got here, and we don't think it's good. That has not been their method for 7 years.
Yes.
7 years. Now, I'm watching preseason games. A lot of teams do start their starters for a 15 plays or 2 drives. Or okay, that's fine. But has not been their method. They changed everything. They even went out and scheduled a in-season joint practice. They knew coming in they had problems. They got here, and after 2 weeks of Fisher, they know they got problems. And now we saw evidence of it for ourselves. And we weren't able to go to practice, so we could see it for ourselves now.
Well,
they got problems.
Would you call yourself panicked at this time, or after the second preseason game if it's another failure as bad as this one?
Well, I've already predicted a 9-win season.
Well,
I,
I mean, the way you're talking, I feel you believe now it's an all out disaster, and that 9 win would probably be a
you know,
success for them.
yeah, this was pretty bad. So I won't revise that until I see all three preseason games.
All right, well,
We
let's
really don't know what they're going to do or
right.
how they're going to
Let's see how this goes. What I'm thinking, John, is we'll be back next week to review to go over the Pittsburgh game. But if something happens between now and then, and somebody gets fired, or we find a new player, we'll come back and talk about
We're filling out George's resume to be the new special teams coordinator.
it. Stew for everybody.
Magic stew.
Magic stew. Magic stew fry makes me happy.
That's right. If you win, you get magic stew. If you don't, you got to go home and eat your wife's cooking.
Oh, okay.
All right, everybody. Good luck. What do we say? We say, go Bills.
I hope you go away, Bills. No, go Bills.
Go Bills.